I am going to call this board together at 5:30
Okay, that wasn't not the right date.
on
May 9th.
May 9th.
Pat's on his way.
Yep, here it comes.
Could you please call the roll?
Yes, I can. Jensen,
Here.
McConnell,
Here.
Mekas,
Yeah.
Remington, here, Townsend.
Here. Hi, everybody.
Hi,
Hey,
Pat.
Pat.
Oh,
Okay, I need a motion to adopt the consent calendar as presented or as amended.
So moved.
Second.
Great. Is there any discussion regarding the consent calendar?
Doesn't sound like it.
Doesn't sound like
Wait, is that where we hit the, no,
it.
that'll be old business, the update
No, that's a
on
meeting.
Zoom?
Meeting minutes.
yes, that'll be in, yeah,
Old business.
it's on the agenda, yeah.
Yep.
All right.
I guess I have to do a roll call again.
Yeah. We'll call the roll.
McConnell,
Yes.
Mekas,
Yep.
Remington,
Yes.
Townsend,
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
Okay. Do we have any new business to discuss?
Well, no, because it
Oh.
has to be on the,
Yeah.
yeah,
All right. Any old business?
yes.
And the things that are listed are the Iowa City Police Department core values, the,
Ask the board if they have any suggestions.
do you have any suggestions to add to the core values for Chief Liston?
Next month, I hope to come with a more consolidated list. We have an all supervisors meeting next Tuesday, and so we're winnowing it down a little bit at a time. So hopefully I can provide a smaller list and maybe get some comments on that.
I think transparency and accountability were already on your bigger list, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
I appreciate too the mention of that in the community forum as well, because I think that was helpful also. Not a big audience, but still helpful.
Okay, the next item is what's the C in front of Police Review Board?
What's that? CPRB.
Okay.
What are you looking for?
Oh, I didn't know if it was Iowa City or what the C stood for. So,
So this is what we're gonna,
okay,
what's your first name?
well, since I don't know what that means, I'm...
Oh, ICPD?
No, C, the community...
CPRB, Community Police Review Board.
Thank you.
Sorry.
All right, we're going to have the Community Police Review Board, FY23 and FY24 budget discussion. First item appears to be the business cards for the police.
Perfect, because I was afraid I was going to have to put that on the next budget. One of the things I noticed when I came here was officers use their business cards, traditionally have been using their business, when they go to a call, they'll give someone a business card. And what happens is, say you have a late night officer who's taking a report, he gives someone their business card and writes the case number or something like that on it. And what often happens is that's the last involvement that officer has in that case. And especially if he's a late night officer, the person can never get a hold of him. What most agencies do, my former agency does, instead of a business card, we call it an incident information card. And I've got some rough drafts. These are very rough, but if you want to take one and pass it around. So what that is, it has the information that the person needs. Case number, the officer, date and time, and then it has a bunch of useful numbers. And again, this is a rough draft, and there's already some changes we're going to make to it. But that's much more useful to me than a business card, because typically what happens when an officer takes a report, that's the last he has to do with that, and then it goes to investigations. And what will happen is this person will be trying to get a hold of this officer to get some sort of follow-up, and they're working late nights, they're not involved with the case. So these help us direct the person to the right person, and also have the frequently used numbers. And if you look on the back, that's the important part that I want you guys to focus on, is the methods to file a compliment or complaint. And I think we all obviously have several methods here, and we wanted to put all of those. Obviously, this organization is highlighted on 2 and 3. I think this is a better means of which to do this. I know you, when I first got here, there was talk, you guys decided we wanted to put the information on the back of the cards. I don't think officers are going to be handing out their cards that often. No. It would be my expectation going forward, and it was at my prior agency, that this is handed out on every time they make a report or deal with the person, in which in case they do make a report, unless there's some sort of extenuating circumstance.
And it does give information for filing a complaint.
Go ahead.
Can we have that written into the policy,
Yes.
please?
Yep.
Okay.
And that will be my expectation. Now, there could be some times where, person got scooped up in an ambulance or something,
right.
but we try to do that. And at my former agency, that was the last line of every report I ever made, was person was issued an incident information card and advised the follow-up procedures. So with that said, I don't think it's necessary to put, it could save you, this is something that we will pay for. I think business cards, in my opinion, are more for professional relationships. Like when I go to a conference or something and meet other people in my business, I hand them cards. I don't know that that's super necessary to have how they could complain on me on a professional relationship, but I wanted to throw that out there. That I think this is a more appropriate means in which to share that information than it would be on a business card.
Chief?
Yes.
Would it be mandatory that the officer include the name and badge number?
Yes. Yep. Mm-hmm.
I'm totally fine with this version myself, if everybody else is, but I would it be possible for us to get like an estimation of when you'd expect that we could look over where that's been included in the policy?
Yeah, we'll get started right on that. We're going to clean that up. There's some other numbers we might want to put and make sure that like the margins or stuff, it's a little wonky to read. We'll clean it up. But
I think this is better than a business card. It's got more on it.
And we'll get started with that. That's just probably one sentence we can put on a policy. But I always felt uncomfortable with the business card thing, because I think it gives someone an expectation like, oh, this is the officer, and then they can't reach the officer because they're working late nights. And this way it gives them other means to reach people and follow up on what their situation is. So,
Would they be able to fill out their name and badge number ahead of time?
Well,
just have it written out so that when you have the incident, you don't have that.
Right. They could. Yeah, I know back when, a long time ago, some people would even start filling out, like when we used to write handwritten tickets, your name and badge number would be up top, they would just put that on all of their tickets in their ticket book. But yeah, they could do that. So what my expectation, these would come like in a pad, and the officer would carry them with them and fill it out and just tear it off, and they'd have a pad of 20 of them with them at all times. Mm-hmm. And as you know, there's been some instances where we've had officers that didn't have business cards and things like that. This is a much easier to mass produce and much cheaper. And then I think it gives you guys maybe $3,500 extra that you can spend for something else.
I could see the other thing with this too is, even if there's not a case number, it's not an incident, but somebody's asking about resources.
Yep,
this is
absolutely.
very easy to use this.
Doesn't necessarily, there are a lot of calls for service that we handle that don't have reports, and they could still, this could be something, and we could see it has incident number and call for service number. So sometimes an incident number would be a case in which they've made a report, but all calls will have a call for service number.
One thing I'm wondering, and I don't know how to make it, I can't think of how to make it fit concisely, is whether everybody is going to know that community crisis services and mobile crisis outreach are mental health emergency numbers.
Okay.
I think if there was a way to make that a little more clear, that would be helpful, but I'm not sure off the top of my head what that would be without adding a
Okay.
whole nother line of text.
Yeah,
How to
you
make
know,
it-
maybe we could,
Yeah.
you know, it says frequently used numbers, maybe put those two together under a header that says like mental health services or something like that.
Yeah. I think a lot of agencies have been doing a good job of trying to push that 988 out, but I don't know how. I know that I still run into people who don't know about it.
Absolutely. No, it's surprising. I think we take it for granted, and then you talk to people and they have no idea what you're talking about. 988, what's that?
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely, that's a good idea.
And I was going to ask about the victim advocacy program. It's RAVE first, and I don't know how many people would know what RAVE is. I didn't.
That's a typo error.
Yeah, it's RVAP. I'm trying to find it here.
Were you thinking about
It should be rape. Yeah, that's.
Oh, great,
You remember I
okay.
said there were some things we needed to clean up. That was one of them.
Well, no wonder I didn't understand RAVE.
Well, there's also the Rave app, Rave Guardian
Okay.
or whatever app, so I thought maybe you
That
got those
wasn't
mixed
it,
up
though.
or something there.
That was just a
But
typo. Yeah.
Chief, what at the top it says Iowa City Police Department Incident Information Card. Instead of incident, could that be changed to complaint information? Because that's kind of where we're coming from.
Well, that's not really what this is. I mean, we wanted to put the information to file a complaint, and that's on the back. But this will be, hopefully, everyone we do a report for doesn't want to file a complaint. You guys are going to be pretty busy. But it's not a complaint information card.
Okay.
It's just a.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like it.
All right, I will try to get a cleaner copy for you guys by next, and then we'll work on the policy too. So.
cool, thank you.
Thank you.
Nice.
Okay, the next item to be discussed is the budget. Oh, no, we just did that.
Well, we're still in that. We got the Zoom as like a subsection under there.
Yeah. Electronic meetings.
So I have a note here from Kelly, and she wanted me just to kind of read off of this, but, so CPRB meetings available by Zoom. If a majority of the board would like the option for the public to participate via Zoom, we can coordinate that with the communications staff starting with the June meeting. She did want me to note if there are technical issues if there are technical issues, the in-person meeting will continue and there will not be support staff from the communications office to fix the issue.
So imagine it'll have a similar statement as to what's on the TRC one right now, where it says, you know, in order to try to improve accessibility, however, there's this chance of this. So you
Yes,
may
and
wanna
in
attend
fact, it
person.
says right here, in order to encourage greater input from the public, the Community Police Review Board intends to offer the opportunity to participate in the meeting remotely. However, this meeting is an in-person meeting. In the event of technological problems, the meeting will continue in person, so those wishing to ensure their ability to participate should attend the meeting in person. That's what
Yep.
she is suggesting. If the majority of the board would like the option to live stream somewhere other than Zoom, the City Channel 4 YouTube channel and citychannel4.com/live, which gets a feed from our YouTube channel, would be where we would send it. Communication staff thinks there's a way for the CPRB staff to use a Go Live button through Zoom. Again, if there are technical issues, the in-person meeting will continue and there will not be support staff from communications office to fix the issue. So I guess the main thing is she just wants a show of hands of, does the majority of the board want to go with the Zoom option.
And I guess, I feel like we already voted on it when we voted on the budget last year, but I guess if we need to do a vote again, then.
Yeah, I don't know about, I'm not sure about that part. I don't know if I was here or not here. I don't
Yeah, I guess
recall
it'd be
that.
different.
I guess I would wonder, what do the other board and commission meetings, how do they handle it?
TRC and City Council are the only two that have Zoom right now.
Okay. Because my initial thought is, we always have had very low participation at these meetings from the public. I wonder if maybe the option of the community forum, which I like, but I don't know about these particular meetings, just our regular monthly meetings, if that's needed or not.
No, we had much better participation when they were on Zoom. Our participation went down when they came off Zoom.
When all the meetings were on Zoom, because there weren't any other options.
Yeah, and then once that stopped,
Right.
participation drastically declined.
Do we have any idea what the numbers were? Like what
I
kind
don't
of?
have that
Okay.
information.
Okay.
That I don't know. I don't know. It's probably something.
How do we handle the part of, if you're on Zoom, we have to adjourn to executive session and then you pick it back up? How do we handle that? Because the executive session
It would
portion
just-
is not.
Right, it would just be shut off. I
That'd
mean,
be it,
and then,
Mhm.
and we'd be done.
right, because that's what you do for council, right? If you have to break out into.
I guess my question is there a problem with, in-person meeting that we've been doing all along?
There's
Well,
not a
we'll
problem in person. This improves accessibility. This allows people with disabilities who do not have the ability to get in and out of this building as easily, people who do not have vehicles, parents who do not have babysitters for their children to be involved in civic participation. And they're all part of our community.
Yeah. If we did Zoom, I would support people be here or not.
No.
Well, no, and that's why there's a statement to the public that says, if it's really important to you to make sure that you are able to see the whole meeting and you're able to come in person, you need to come in person. That statement will be on every agenda saying they're trying to offer electronic, but it's possible, like the public will be informed, it's possible that something may happen sometimes.
Would you still be here to take notes?
Oh, yeah, no,
Okay.
nothing as far as, you'll all still be here, and
Yeah.
I'll still be here. You as members will still be here in person.
It doesn't change anything for us, it's just an add-on. It just,
So,
we'll have a screen going and people can give commentary through the screen too.
so basically, nothing's changed except we're gonna add it so that the public can have more accessibility to our in-house meeting.
Yes.
It would be interesting to see how many people watch the city council meetings on Zoom.
Well, this will not be live streamed,
So, yeah,
which is different.
Okay.
So to me, that means they're just hearing us, right? They're not seeing you? or
No,
separate
they can
things?
see
you.
On Zoom.
But
Oh,
when
sure.
we-
So
Zoom,
it's
it's a
like,
Zoom. You would have to admit people then.
yes, yeah.
Well, some of them are set up, no, that, they do that when they set it up, so,
But that's my question.
no,
You
when
see
the
where I'm
city
going?
sets it up,
Yeah.
they can set it up so that people don't have to be admitted. They set it up to anybody who
Right,
has
but
the
my
link
question
can
is,
automatically join.
how are we talking about it being set up? Because that's another part of it. It's about whether people would have to be admitted or whether they could just sign in as a guest and not have to,
Yeah, I think they do it without admitting. I think they're all just generally, they have the link, and as soon as you click on the link, you can register and go in. The host doesn't have to.
But as far as like speaking to us, they would have to raise their hand and be,
yeah.
And we would have strict time frames for the amount of time that individuals could
I
speak.
assume we would, yeah.
I mean, I don't want to be here, have to bring my pajamas.
3 minutes is typical.
Yeah, but with 200 people.
Would there be a conflict
On
with
a
city
good night.
council when they Zoom?
No,
No?
no,
Okay.
no. And we do have a couple meetings, I know that same night as theirs, but no, that won't matter.
I guess before we said yes or no, I would like to know a little bit about how that portion would work.
Okay, so you want to know, how-
I can tell you how the council meetings work if that's helpful.
That would be great.
So Kelly sets them up as a webinar so that anyone who wants to view can just come right in, like Mandy was saying. They don't have to be admitted. If someone wants to speak, they raise their hand and she just goes into the participants and makes them a panelist for that short period of time, and then she sort of demotes them back to a webinar viewer when they're done speaking.
So we basically don't have to do anything.
Yeah, right.
Tammy gets to do
Yep.
all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
That's helpful,
Yeah.
because, I mean, depending on the meeting, obviously, and the way it's set up, they all run a little bit different, so.
Yep.
And
Okay.
we would only be taking
helpful.
public comments in the public comment section. We wouldn't, they wouldn't be
Would they be able-
interrupting
Would
the
that
whole
be,
time.
or would they be able to talk, like a
Well, no,
council
just a-
where?
I mean, they would raise their hand, they could, have to be, they'd have to wait to respond. They wouldn't just be able to start talking.
Right, right, but what I'm saying is well, I can't imagine what it would be, but if we have something on the agenda, like you do at council, and then the mayor says, does anybody? Yeah,
It's up to you
so
all.
that's up to you guys, whether you would allow them to speak about that particular item at that time. And then public discussion would be for any items that are not on the agenda.
Yeah, typically, I guess when I chaired, we didn't often have people in person, just because again, the in-person participation is really low. But if we did have people, it would kind of depend. If we had a topic that seemed like a topic that people might have an opinion on, then I would always ask after that section.
Yeah, and that's
But
how,
not
before we
every
did
single thing.
the
Yeah.
meetings on Zoom.
Mhm.
That's how we did them before as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how do y'all feel about that?
Yeah. How would we publicize that?
It's on the agenda and the online agenda.
The way the notice goes
Yeah,
out.
the media release or posting.
When the city already does it, they've already approved it. City council has approved it. They've approved it in the budget. We have the money for it. I don't see any reason why we wouldn't do it.
I would just want to let us figure out when the public can speak and that we don't recognize hands at places they're not supposed to speak.
Right.
So that we have we're not staying here for 5 hours answering people's questions.
Yeah, and that would be the same as if they were here in person. There's at the end of each section, the chair can decide if they want to ask for public commentary, and then there's our one period of public commentary.
I
Okay.
think it'd be fair to go to the next to say, we've got a few outstanding questions. We want to make sure we get answered, so we
Okay.
don't know what
So-
page we're on, and then say that we would be moving, to go that way for July 1, for the start of
Okay.
the new fiscal year.
So-
Rather than to start next month before we know the answer to some of those questions about how to handle it.
Okay, so what are your questions? You had, and I think Laura kind of answered them, but
Yeah.
did you get yours answered, or did you have any other?
Yeah, I mean, that helps to know how that portion works because, yeah.
Yeah. And then your question was, we need to make a decision about when they can, I guess, speak, which I think is going to be the same as it is for
I guess
council.
my question is, we've been meeting all along and getting through our complaints and getting the results we want. And there's nothing broken about it, so, why do we need to make changes?
Because we can always be better, and it's important to involve the community in city decisions. Every community member should be allowed to be involved in a public meeting, and if they can't leave their house and come to City Hall currently, they can't be involved in our public meetings.
I could see that if we had an overflow of people breaking down the doors to get in,
Well,
but
no, the problem is I'm talking about the people that can't get in. I'm talking about the people that do not have the ability to come to City Hall. I'm talking about how our participation went down once we lost the Zoom option. Zoom accessibility was the one big thing that was good that the pandemic gave us. There is no reason that we should take that accessibility away from people who have movement or transportation or caregiving barriers.
Where did we get those statistics?
What statistics?
That what the Zoom following was and how much it went down.
I don't have statistics, but I remember being in meetings that had 10 to 20 people on a regular basis, and now this is what we get.
I mean, I can see
Because they
if I
had
can.
nothing else to do. We were all bored.
People just stumble across it, you know.
I can see
mean,
if it's
I
possible
don't
to get those stats if you
Okay.
want me to.
Yes.
I don't know if it is, but I don't know.
I guess I'm just very confused as to why there would be any hesitation. When again, we have the funds, City Council has approved it. It doesn't create a problem for anybody that I'm seeing. Does somebody see a problem with it?
The only reason I brought up what I did is rather than to push it and do it next month, when we were talking specifically the last time about the community forum, and is give us another month to work out some of the logistics. I'm not saying I'm against it at all. I do Zoom
Okay.
meetings every day.
Yeah, it wasn't
I've
for.
done multiples with the city, so I'm just saying there's some operational issues. It'd be nice to have those answers ahead of time. Which, if we push it out to start with the new fiscal year, that's just an option, and we could do it that way and get some of those logistical.
Okay, I guess it just sounded like the people that would be running it said that they would be ready by June 1st. They would be the ones that would be doing the logistical stuff. Kelly said we could be ready to go, so it doesn't sound like there's really a logistical.
In a Zoom meeting,
Problem.
would we have a start time and a stop time?
You mean like how long they could speak?
Well, how long the meeting would run, you know?
Yeah.
Well,
we don't do that now.
Yeah, we'd start at 5:30, like we
Yeah.
do now, and then when we go to executive session, it'd be done, basically. We'd adjourn to executive session, that Zoom would no longer be an option.
My concern is that when people stumble across something or have access, a lot of times they get in with things that are just totally unrelated. I mean, you put yourself in a situation where you possibly can have a lot of other things to deal with, and many of them can be negative,
It's a public meeting. The public's supposed to be able to come. It's our job to
Yeah.
guide the format of the meeting and tell people we can, and that's the nice thing about Zoom. If someone's off topic, it's a lot easier for us to cut them off and make them stop talking than if they're in person. We can give them a warning, like this isn't what we're just here to discuss. Do you have anything on topic? We're going to mute you in 5 seconds if you don't. I mean,
Yeah.
that's not an option in person.
My only concern would be that I would want all of us to be together and understand what the forum is before we go public like that.
It doesn't change that this is a public meeting, so it doesn't change any of that. All
Right.
it does is just puts an option back that we're not currently using. So as long as, we know, hey, we can publicize it this way, we have any questions answered about how, people can be, they set up, they don't have to be admitted to the meeting. If they have a question, they can raise their hand, especially in the beginning. We might need to throw that out there as the first part of our meeting and explain that, and answer those questions if we have anybody that, is online that, maybe this is how we're going to do this, and then go. I'm fine with it. I mean, I don't care about that part because we're not changing what we're doing any.
Right.
Other than just adding that as an option.
Another concern that I have is there are a lot of people floating around that have negative feelings toward our police. We're talking about complaints. Those people that are going to be negative are not going to come in here, even though we invite them to. They're not going to come in here, with a lot of unrealistic stuff. But if they can sit behind, their home and do it, I think we could end up, being stuck with a lot of garbage.
Yeah, that's what I mean about, I think that we, just like here, we wouldn't take complaints. They would have to go through the regular channels of complaints. They couldn't do it on Zoom. What do you think, Pat?
About whether you should do it on Zoom? I think that's entirely your decision.
I mean, and Mandy's right. It's a lot easier to,
Access.
we've had people in this meeting that have been upset about an issue. And it's a lot easier when somebody's on Zoom. You can just go, we're done. And that's it. So,
But then people are gonna say that if we don't like what people are saying, we just disconnect them.
Well, I guess that's why you give them a time limit,
You know?
that's why you give them a time.
and then you just let them go
Yeah.
until.
And who would be the person to disconnect? Who would have that responsibility?
Well, we would make that decision, you know, about as a group, if somebody does this, you know, we can say, you know,
They're gonna
sorry.
see you do that, though.
Pardon?
They're gonna see you do that.
Well, I mean sarcasm. There's a little sarcasm there, I know that. It's like, I don't want people going, there was a little sarcasm on my part, but you know.
I think you'd have to be careful about cutting somebody off based upon what they say instead of how long they're taking to say it.
Yeah.
I might, call in because I'm unhappy because I got a ticket today, and I think that SOB was unfair to me. Now, how do we control that? You just disconnect them.
And the other thing is you won't have a conversation.
Right.
You're just listening, just so you
Yeah.
know that you won't be able to respond to them.
Yeah, I'm not worried about me responding to them.
No,
I'm worried about all the garbage that they're gonna come out that's unfair to our police.
I don't think it's gonna be that much. I really don't. I don't think there's gonna be a lot of people saying a lot of stuff through this forum, that way.
And if you are super concerned about timeframes, I know that the typical setup for, at least for city council, is 3 minutes. But then there are times, if they have a particular topic that the community is really, really interested in and they have a ton of people show up, they'll look at how many people are there. And sometimes Mayor Teague will say, well, today it's 2 minutes or today it's 1 minute. So, we always have that option too. We can say 3 minutes as the standard, but if more than a certain number of people show up, then we can cut that down if that's something that you're really concerned
And when
about.
people start saying something that you don't agree with, then you cut them off.
No.
I mean,
if they're
ridiculous.
violating,
People can be ridiculous.
if they're being abusive, we can have, standard guidelines like we would expect in any other scenario. But yeah, it can't just be because we don't agree with what they're
A
saying.
particular council meeting that I won't say.
Well,
No, it was very funny.
well, let's be realistic. There are a lot of people floating around out there that ain't playing with a full deck. And you give them opportunity, and you don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I like to play it safe.
I unequivocally believe that every single person in our community deserves to be involved in the civic process, regardless of what barriers or conditions they
So,
might
Orville, what are you
have.
saying? You saying you don't
We
want to
don't
do it or not? Let's
Zoom.
Let's
get there, 'cause we're tied up on the first part
We're in
of the meeting.
discussion now, I'm just sharing my.
Okay,
my
no, I
thoughts.
get it. I'm not sure I'm understanding. It sounds like you're saying no. I'm just curious.
In a way, I just, when it comes to our police force, I think they get crapped on enough. And I don't want to open up another avenue that they're going to get dumped on more, and then we have to cut them off.
The entire purpose of public meetings is to allow for public engagement. I don't
But
think
I'm-
that it's acceptable to try to limit that just because you're worried about what that engagement might end up looking like or sounding like.
And I think if a person got to do it in public, more than likely, they're going to be realistic. But if you allow someone to call in and hide behind a telephone or whatever, you're going to get a bunch of crazies. And unpopular demand, a lot of people have negative feelings toward our police force that's unrealistic.
I think that's one thing that we do need to talk about. When I was at the training this year, this one guy behind me, when he stood up, he was just down on our board even, saying we never do anything, and he had gotten an email from a friend in Coralville, And the police said that he's down on the police, is down on the board. And I think we just need to know how we're going to handle these things. We can't come up with everything,
But
yeah.
I think we're getting hung up on the whole social media, people having a sense of anonymity and, and that whole thing versus this is a public forum. And we're representing this community by being part of this public forum. And there's, that interaction, positive or negative, comes with that.
Yeah.
So we're not asking to do anything any different, other than I had some questions about how would we handle it, how is the meeting set up. But as far as whether somebody's on Zoom or somebody's sitting in a chair, I don't care.
And I think realistically, we're gonna have different opinions, and I
Yeah.
think realistically it comes down to the vote, and with the majority, this is what we go with.
So, okay, so I guess I just need to know, are you going to approve it or not approve it tonight? Or is there a list of questions? And I know you said basically the setup and how the meeting would be run. You have those questions.
I mean, if we're ready to go by June 1st, and part of that's for you to know how, how to handle that part of it. And, that we understand how we're gonna handle people, if they have a complaint, how much time they're gonna speak. If we say 3 minutes, in general, and all of that, I think it's fine. I thought July 1 is the new fiscal year, or July is the new fiscal year. That might make sense. But, I honestly, for me, it doesn't make any difference if everybody's pretty comfortable with that and we can be ready to go. I didn't hear that part that Kelly says we'd be ready to go by July or June.
Yep. So that's just the Zoom part. So then I guess there was the second part of the possibility of live streaming, but then Kelly did make the comment that CPRB staff can use a go live button through Zoom. So is that satisfactory rather than doing a live stream, which would be on City Channel 4, YouTube?
I think that the Go Live button, I think they're saying they can connect the Go Live button to City Channel 4 on YouTube, so that when you hit the Go Live button, that's where it streams to, was how I understood the way that was read.
Okay. Could be. Okay, so what she said here again is if a majority of the board would like the option to live stream somewhere other than Zoom, the City Channel 4 YouTube channel and citychannel4.com, which gets a feed from our YouTube channel, would be where we would send it. So.
So yeah, like when I live stream meetings that are Zoom meetings to Facebook, when the Zoom meeting is set up, you set it up to live stream to Facebook, and then when the meeting starts, there's a button and you just click the button and it live streams to wherever you had it preset to live stream to.
She says on here that, because there's more information, she said if there were any questions about Facebook, to go ahead with this. And since you mentioned it, she said meetings will not be live streamed to Facebook.
Yeah, no, I wasn't talking about live streaming. I was just saying I imagine it's the same way where when they set it up, they would set it up to live stream to YouTube. So then
you're
when you
just
click
saying
the
that's
Go
the way
Live
they would
button,
do it.
yeah, so when you click the Go Live button, it'll
Gotcha.
go to YouTube.
So I guess the first question then is, does the majority of the board approve of these meetings being on Zoom, or being Zoom meetings?
Okay, I'll call for the vote.
No, it's not really an official
Technically,
vote.
it's not
an official vote.
It's just
Oh,
kind of
okay.
because I asked
That's
Kelly
right,
that.
you could do that.
So
You do it.
I guess, how many of you approve
Do we
having
need a
these?
motion?
No,
it's
it's
not
not that
technically
candid,
formal.
it's
It's
just
just a show of hands.
Yes, Zoom,
so Zoom,
yes.
I'm good with that.
Okay,
No.
okay. I'm gonna put me over here.
Yes.
Okay,
I'll say yes, but I really think we need to have,
It's either yes or no.
I said yes.
there'll be guidelines, I'm sure.
Yeah,
that
that
Kelly
we
will give
need
me.
to,
Okay, so that's 4-1, right, there's 5 of you here. So Zoom will start in June. And then live streaming, how do you all feel about that?
I'm a yes on that too.
It's, I guess it's, live stream. I guess, does everyone know the difference?
So Zoom meeting, only people who register to join the meeting will see it. If we live stream it, people who are not actively participating in the meeting can watch it.
I think that's fine. I mean, again, I'll go back to it's a public meeting, I don't care.
No.
No.
a reluctant yes. I just am concerned about the speed. You know, this is our one meeting before it happens, and that's my concern.
I would definitely be in more understanding and agreement with that if it was new to the city too. But I feel confident that the people who are actually setting it up, they know exactly what they're doing. They've done it before. They've put the language in the agendas before, so they're going to take care of all of that for us.
Yeah, but you're the one who is more comfortable with it, and I know at least 3 of us. You have information about that, but 3 of us don't.
But
And obviously 2 others don't when they come, and that's just a concern to me.
Okay, so, I don't know if this is, she does have in here, regarding live stream, we would not be able to use the platform. Okay, if we were to use Facebook Live, that's what she's saying, we can't do Facebook Live. Because if we were to use Facebook Live for all boards, commissions, and committee meetings, we have 21, and some run simultaneously.
Mm-hmm.
We would not be able to use the platform as intended. Instead, we share live programming on City Channel 4 and YouTube, which were created for this purpose.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
I think the thing to remember, Jerry, is that it doesn't really change very much for us. I mean, the biggest difference is it gives people an option. If somebody wanted to make a comment, they electronically raise their hand and can make that comment or can say something, but it doesn't change. It's not a big change in how we operate the meeting. I mean, I think the first meeting I was back was the community forum last year, and we did it on Zoom. So, it doesn't change a whole lot. It probably creates more work for you than anything else.
Yeah, that's fine.
So
Once I have it figured out, that's fine.
yeah.
You know,
I may stumble a few times, but.
Yeah, what I would suggest is that if we approve, whatever we approve, that we do it, that we're going to let it run for 6 months and then revisit it to see how things are going, because a lot of times we approve things and they're not really going good, but because that's just where we do it now, it just continues to go. So we're making this change, so I would request that, give it 6 months.
We could reevaluate in 6 months.
And then, reevaluate it to see what the pluses and negatives are.
Can we do that?
Yeah, I think you can decide to cut it off whenever you want to. If somebody has a trouble or concern about it, bring it up at a meeting and
We
bring
might
it to
say
a
we
vote
like,
again.
yeah, we might say we like this, and there may be other options that we could add at that time. Good idea.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so,
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Is that on record that we can review it? So can we put that somehow in the minutes on record so that we can
I can
review that
certainly,
idea?
I can put that in the minutes that you requested that. Now, there's not really a, but the other thing is I'm assuming that you could ask, even if it wasn't in the minutes, 6 months down the road,
We'll just put it
can
as an
we
agenda
evaluate
item.
that? Right, can we add evaluating this at the
You know,
next
once
meeting?
once we start doing it, we just gonna pile a lot of other stuff on top of it. It's not gonna matter as much whatever happens, just happens, unless something catastrophic, you know, there's something really negative that happens, but we gotta focus on it.
Well, you
But-
can make a motion to review the idea in 6 months.
Second?
Okay. So did you make that motion, or you
Saul.
made the motion? Saul did, okay.
So that, my second.
I think Saul made a suggestion for a motion.
What's that?
I think Saul made a suggestion for a motion, but he didn't actually make a motion.
I will
I'll make the motion. Oh, no, go ahead.
I'll make the motion that, you know, we reassess this in 6 months.
Okay. And you seconded?
Sure.
Well, you don't have to.
Second.
You seconded the first time.
I'll second it the second time, too.
so do we need a roll call or just a regular vote?
Just
Vote.
Just vote.
Okay.
Let's go.
all those
Wait, wait,
All those in favor?
What are we voting on? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Did you say
Anybody?
aye?
No, I didn't say anything. I was thinking still. All
So-
those opposed?
Did everyone say aye then?
Jerry did not.
I didn't.
I didn't, but
Yeah.
I'm not. I mean, yeah, I'm fine with the discussion.
Well, you can still vote against it in 6 months.
So what about
That's it.
an aye for you too?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
What the heck?
All right. So I will. Speaking of the public.
Okay,
So you're here,
I'm here. Okay.
which we don't have anyone here from the public. So.
Yeah, does anyone from the public want to comment on items not on the agenda?
Do I have anybody from the public?
I guess we are.
Are you public?
That was one of my very first, one of my first meetings as chair. I stumbled over that, and I didn't know whether or not to ask Laura if she had any comments, and then I felt really like I was questioning whether she should be allowed to talk. I was like, no, I just didn't know if you were part of the public part.
Well, it's actually on the agenda, but I may join by Zoom once you start offering that, if you all are okay with that.
Yep.
I'd be someone who would take advantage of that from time to time at least.
And that's a good
I haven't
point.
mentioned
What did I tell you?
Don't give him ideas.
What did I tell you? We losing members already?
We'll be there. We'll be there.
That's good.
I guess it is a kind of a good way for, if somebody can't be here physically, but they can.
Well, that's the other, that's a good question.
I'm gonna be in here all
You
by myself.
I would say you cannot be part of the board and do Zoom, because how do you vote? And how do you have a quorum? Because you can't be executive session. It'd have to be set up
That's
different.
right. Oh, yeah, that'd be a nightmare.
So if you go to executive session, the way it's set up, you can't.
So then would we go, after executive session, would we go back to Zoom?
That's what we used to do when they were entirely on Zoom. Since the part after executive session doesn't typically have public input and is very short, if that is something that is more complicated for you, really puts a wrench in things,
But I
I'm
was wondering
okay
if
with
it's
just
say it in the
ending at
beginning.
executive session.
Well, I'm just wondering whether it's more for me or not. I don't know if that matters. But what I'm saying is, are we required to go back to Zoom?
I would think that you would.
I would
I
think
don't
so,
know how
too.
that works if you go into executive session and the people that have been participating on Zoom just hang out and just wait and see when it opens up again. I don't know how that works.
That's something I'll check on.
Sounds like a beer break to me.
I think concern too is one for public.
Yeah, but I mean, for the public one, once that gets cut off when you go into executive session.
Oh.
I used to write my name and
Open it up to
number
public
on the
again. Who
tickets.
knows how long that break is going to be?
Laura,
Like, want to come back for the session after executive?
and
You'd
Laura,
fill out a few ahead
we'll
of
be
time just to
checking.
say
We'll be
hi.
checking on you. Make sure you're on that.
Just so I can eat my dinner.
Okay, does the board have any questions? Anything they'd like to share? If they would like to add any new business items to the next agenda?
I have one for the next agenda, kind of on the whole, back to that whole topic of how we hadn't seen our approved budget until a couple of weeks or meetings ago. Part of that approved budget was, and part of a previous change that we made also was we're supposed to be having 2 forums a year now, not 1 anymore. So I think we need to look at what about 6 months out from the last one is and schedule the next one. So I'd like to add that as a new item.
Okay. So the
Scheduling
there we go.
the next public forum.
When our budget's approved, could we get a copy of it? Would that be appropriate?
What's that?
When our budget is approved, can
Well, yes, you
the
should.
board get a
probably-
copy of it?
Probably should.
Yeah, we got a
got that on the
copy
next item.
last, a month or 2 ago in our
Yeah.
stack, but for some reason we didn't get it right after it was approved. It was just kind of a later, wait a minute, whatever happened to our budget request?
Yeah, we didn't get it, and then we didn't catch that we didn't.
Yeah.
I'd like to add another item for the next agenda. It's the email that I sent you, which is questions about chair and vice chair positions.
When
Don't we have to have the nominating?
that's in October, right? I mean,
Yeah,
Is it October? I thought it was.
first meeting in
Beginning of fiscal.
October. The first
No,
meeting in
that's
October.
when-
Okay, I'm
So-
off then. All right.
so July 1 is, Jerry's term expires. That's when your terms expire, June 30th. New term
They're not
starts.
staggered anymore, are they?
They are.
I'm not talking about years, I'm talking about time during the year.
Oh,
Used to be
no, yeah,
staggered
no,
during
they're
the
July
year
1 through June 30th.
As well, 3 months of the
Yeah.
year as well.
So then what happens if somebody's term is over? I mean, then it wouldn't be October, right? We would have to nominate and vote
Well,
before that if their term ends while they're in.
I would think so.
Because otherwise we just don't have a chair or we just don't have a vice chair.
Yeah, it's not personal.
term
Right, it's
is
not
ending.
personal, but,
I
you
have
know, in your
reapplied.
case, your chair, your term expires. You a person may or may not reapply, so, I mean, maybe it just needs to be on the,
Okay, so, questions
because we're in
regarding,
June. How do you word that? Yeah.
I mean, do you just, yeah, how do you word it?
Chair to start in July if Jerry's not staying with us.
Depends on council.
I'll try to figure out how to word that.
Wordsmith it, just word, yeah, it's
See.
just a matter of,
What do we do? Why is it in October?
why is it October? Yeah.
I
I just
would-
remember last year, it kind of got left to the last minute, and we kind of, all of a sudden, there was a scramble at the last minute, and we had to decide, and,
Well, no, that was just the same schedule, is it?
no, I mean the
We didn't have-
nominations.
we almost
didn't have the
didn't.
nominations, and we had an
Yeah.
issue with, yeah. Okay.
But, I mean, the
All the
nomination
jobs,
committee
right.
and stuff was chosen the month before.
Yep.
And then
They weren't there, I
we
think is what it
didn't have,
was.
we almost didn't have a quorum.
Yeah.
So it just-
Yeah.
Anybody else have?
Can I just say I reapplied? or someplace else. I have reapplied, and I was appointed to take someone's place, and I just lost track of my timing. I have a lot of other things on my mind, so I did reapply, and we'll see what they do. Okay. Staff, do you have any more information?
I do not.
She's like, thank you.
I'm going to leave you here with more questions then.
I make a motion to adjourn to executive session.
Okay.
You got the discussion about meeting dates coming up.
Oh, yeah,
Meeting dates.
that's right. Sorry, I jumped ahead.
Yeah.
I jumped right over that one.
I will be gone the 8th of August. I'll be gone for 2 weeks. I may be able to Zoom, if we're going to do Zoom. It depends where I can get Wi-Fi up there.
I'll be gone both the June and July meetings, but like I said, I can get somebody to fill in for me.
That'll work for me.
Do we have any other conflicts with? No? Okay. I need a motion to move into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, need a roll call.
Jensen,
Yes.
McConnell,
Yes.
Meckes,
Yes.
Remington,
Yes.
Townsend.
Yes.
Almost forgot to turn the page. All right. Now I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
I was going to say, what's the hesitation here?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.